Hello fellow woodworkers, welcome to the shop. If you're like me, you go onto YouTube and you search out solutions to particular problems you have in the shop. One of the problems a lot of us have that own joiners is that we need to sharpen our knives. And if you look for the jigs on YouTube, most of those jigs only sharpen 2 knives at a time. Most joiners have 3, so what do? Well, I'm working on a solution at the drawing board, so let's take a look. Most of the YouTube videos, you're going to see some kind of a block that only allows for a left and a right hand knife to be inserted in a wooden block. So I'm going to try a 3-slot solution so I can do all 3 at the same time. I've selected a piece of clear cherry from the scrap pile, and now we're going to cut some slots. I also want to remove the blade from my saw. I did a test cut and found out it was too narrow. So what you need to do is look around your shop and see what kind of blade you have and select a blade that is as close to the proper kerf size as you need. What I'm going to do, rather than select a blade that is too narrow, which would require me to move my fence and recut, I'm going to go with a blade that is slightly oversized and add shims. So I've set my saw blade to 45 degrees and selected a particular height, and I've run through a test piece to see if my angle is what I want, and I think we're now ready to get cut. For the particular blade I'm using, you can see that's a little bit too loose. So what I've done is I've cut 4 pieces of paper, and we'll add those and shim it until everything is tight. Just as a side note, you can buy these honing stones and you don't have to take your blades out of the joiner. Just run that across your blade and you'll be able to put a quick edge on it. But if you have any big nicks or anything, it's not going to help. So if you look real close on my blades, you can see that really all 3 of them, they have nicks at the same place. So what we're going to do is take a black magic marker and we're going to run edges and with that black on there, we'll be able to see what we're grinding off. Just the other day, I went out to my local countertop place where they cut marble, and they allowed me to go back in their scrap bin, and I was able to get this nice piece. I was able to put 4 sheets of wet dry paper on there. I've already sharpened several chisels. It's working great. So I'm going to start with some 240 just to see how bad this blade edge is. We'll wet our paper. Take nice even strokes, constant pressure. You can see by our angle, I'm hitting the leading edges, not the back edges. So I'll keep working that down until I get the nicks out using 220. And then I'll move over to 400. As I'm working that edge, I'm also flipping blades from left to right side, just to make sure I'm getting an even amount of wear. Checking to make sure my blades are properly seated. So our leading edge is looking pretty shiny. We're going to move on to the 400 and start working that. Our last two grits will be 600 and 800. So as you're working your blades, turn your block occasionally. Make sure the surface that you're working on is perfectly dead flat. Otherwise you might get some ridges in your knife. You won't get that beautiful cut you're hoping for. You notice I'm working all the edges of my paper. Okay, so we've finished, and our paper has swelled up a little bit. So the knives are a little difficult to get out. Sure don't want to cut yourself at this stage. And then on the back of the blade you normally get a burr. Rub that off. And then lastly, we're going to touch it up with some jeweler's rouge and a buff. If you look real close, you can see the edge of a burr, and that's what we want to rub off. So as you can see, we have a pretty good shiny edge. We're going to hit that with our jeweler's rouge. And on the back side is our strop. So we'll do that to all of our blades and then install them. Don't want to cut my finger, but you get the idea. We have a piece of rough cherry. Let's send that through the planer and see what we get. So, 1 2 Perfect. No lines, no ridges. Well, I'd say our little project was very successful. I've not seen another one of these on YouTube. First one that can do 3 knives. Great project. Give it a shot. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you around the shop next time.